Hello, welcome to a special edition of Boys Gone Wild, where we're not in the same room.
Yeah, we already did two of these, but on Patreon. So a lot of we've already touched base a couple of times, but for our angry listeners, we haven't touched base for a while.
They are absolutely furious to know what we're doing, what we're getting up to. So this is it. Is this what you want? Because it's going to be subpar, but we're going to have a good time doing it.
Yeah, I am living in a flat with 7 people in a sort of, as I said on the Patreon, a Norwegian prison, I think is the best way to describe it. Or like a mental asylum, I guess. It's very dehumanizing architecture. Designed to crush the human spirit. Morale is high amongst the group. It's a closely knit group, but the flat is doing everything it can to break us apart, if that makes sense.
What kind of things is the flat doing to break you apart?
I think it had all these fire doors are built to slowly, chip away at your mental health, make you start resenting other people because there's no way to open a door without it slamming. That is simply,
and it's also just a constant reminder of death and the potential of things going wrong.
And if you hold the kitchen door open, so because the kitchen has been locked off from the rest of the flat with a thick fire door, and that's the only social area. So if you wanted to maybe poke your head in the door and not commit to the social area, if you wait in that doorway with the door open for more than 5 seconds, the fire alarm goes off.
That's fucking stupid. What does a fire door even do?
Not for the whole building. Not for the whole building. It's a small one. It goes me 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 me. So it goes, if you hold it open for 5 seconds, it goes me 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 me, and then if you hold it for 10 seconds, it goes. It really doesn't want you having the kitchen door open.
Now, is a fire door fireproof?
I don't know. You know what I mean by a fire door, don't you? That's
I do.
A fire door, I reckon.
Yeah, that looks like a fire door.
It's a thick door.
Yeah,
it's a thick, ugly door.
I've seen fire doors everywhere. I've never really thought about them, so now's the time to think about them. Surely they're fireproof, because the risk of keeping a fire door open would be that the fire can then spread. The purpose of the fire door must be that if there's a fire, it gets to that door and it can't get through.
You'd hope so, but I imagine it's like, when the watch is water resistant.
Yeah, we've been lied to before, because
exactly.
We've gone frolicking in various different bodies of water with our water resistant watches. Didn't end well.
Yeah, day ruined. So I guess it's flame resistant, I imagine. But they're obsessed with fire alarms here. I guess it's a student halls with lots of people in it, and they don't want a sort of Grenfell scenario happening. But we have practice fire alarms, like once a week, where they just test to see if it's working. And then at 7 a.m. yesterday, the fire alarm went off. I went to bed at 6:30 in the morning. I just hit REM.
Yeah. And it's very important for you to hit REM more than most people.
It is important.
You're very big into your REM.
Yeah.
But particularly you.
I'm a big REM guy. Always have, always will be. And the fire alarm went off, and you're sort of waiting for it to be one of those testers, so it lasts 7 seconds, and you realise it's not on fire, they're just testing the alarm. But it went on for a minute, and we're like, fuck. So 4 of the people from our flat left. We went down to the courtyard where everyone's outside, and everyone is outside, so it was a proper fire alarm.
Yeah.
And then I saw 6 firemen running into a place. Once again, there's no smoke. I've had so many fire alarms. I do want it. It is funny when you get woken up by a fire alarm. You do want the building to sort of be on fire, which is a weird feeling. Do you know what I mean?
To firstly justify the reason why you woke up, and secondly for a bit of entertainment, even though you obviously you don't want the cold hard realities of what would actually happen with a fire, but you want the excitement that like there's actually a fire going on, and everyone's in their pants looking at the fire. That's something I want to be a part of.
Yeah, and so seeing the 6 big firemen run into a building, and then quite quick sheepishly come out. I feel like I don't know what happened. But I doubt it was a fire. Now, what was interesting is that comedian Paddy Young, comedian Dan Tinnan, and comedian Ed Knight They didn't leave the flat. I don't know if Dan and Ed even woke up.
Yeah.
Which is quite something. I think Paddy woke up but then decided against going down. He didn't want to.
It sounds like a Paddy thing to do.
Yeah, I think Dan just covered his ears. And Ed didn't wake up. I had no idea there was a fire alarm. And when I say it's the loudest thing I've ever heard, I mean that. It gave me tinnitus, or like I started hearing. It started making my ears ring in a way they've never rung before.
Yeah.
And Ed was fast asleep for the entirety of it, which is quite worrying.
He's built different. That guy clearly cares a lot more about his REM than you do.
Yeah,
it's built into him. Nothing on this planet will disrupt that man's REM. And fair play to him.
I don't know if that's care, or has he's gone too deep into REM state where it's. Yeah. I think he's gone dangerously into the REM world.
That REM has enveloped his whole reality. It's almost like he's plugged into a machine where things are operating outside of him that he can't quite comprehend. But that's good.
I mean, yeah, his body is a medical miracle in many ways. Every morning when I pass his room, he's got 4 different alarms playing. And the thing is, he always thinks his alarm's woken him up because he'll wake up naturally and his alarm will be playing. And he'll be like, oh, my alarm's on, it's woken me up. But what he doesn't know is that he's had an alarm playing for 4 hours and it's done nothing. It's false logic, isn't it? It's although the alarm is on, it hasn't actually woken him up. Well, good for Ed. I need to ask him if he has stressful dreams. You know, in like Inception, how they did that thing where like when you're in the dream state, what was when the car's like flipping, falling off the bridge and stuff, and there's water. If you get hit in the face by water in the dream, there's storms and stuff. I wonder if he just has unbelievably stressful dreams, because throughout the entirety of his morning REM is.
Well, if we're taking notes from Inception, then you should make him fall asleep on a chair that's on a desk, and then to wake him up, you just give him the kick into the bucket of water.
Yeah.
That seems to be the only way to wake him up. I wouldn't be
surprised if he doesn't wake up. It's just still, he just wakes up every morning
floating in the water,
tied to a chair in a bath.
Just drowning, just dying slowly, refuses to wake up still. Yeah, I think that used to be me. I've made some changes in my life. Now I sleep with the curtains fully open. It's been a big change I've made recently, because I've gone from when I think it was second year of uni, we had really thin curtains, and I saw them and I took one look at them and I went, this isn't going to work. Papa needs his darkness in the morning. But
Papa needs his darkness.
But then I kind of grew accustomed to it, and I've realised it's a lot nicer waking up with sunshine around you. That's how we were meant to wake up,
That's how we're meant to wake up.
And now I just keep them open. Because then it's, circadian rhythms, etc. But then it's nice to wait. Like the sun waking you up is now kind of what happens to me. I don't really need to set alarms because the sunshine seeps into my room, and I slowly rise.
How early is the sun coming in at its earliest?
It'll be peaking
nearing the summer solstice.
It's not doing a full frontal kind of expose at 7. It'll be peaking in.
It's a nip slip.
It's a nip slip. It's a nip slip at 6. Then the second nip comes out at 6:15. Then it's showing a bit more.
One
midriff.
eye open for the nip slip.
Yeah, and I'm like, hello, are you there? What's going on? And then full frontal dick at about 7-ish, 7:30 between. And that's when I'm like, all right, I'll rise from that. I think that's a better way to do it. But
I think it's probably a better way to do it than be so fast asleep that you have an alarm playing for 2 hours.
And a fire alarm.
At 1 p.m.
A genuine potential danger going off around you. And it's just, I refuse to rise. It's just reminded me I've made another change in my life. I'm trying to drink less water. Because
wow.
Yeah. I was thinking the other day, I was like, I think I drink too much water. I haven't really had any consequences. Sure, I wee a lot. I wee more than your average, but I can deal with that. That's fine. But
it's a very rare health anxiety.
It is.
I don't think I've ever heard that before.
Neither have I, which is why, and I haven't really found a community of people who believe the same as me and are going through similar struggles. But there, there's there's a debate. There's different sides of the aisle as to whether I have IBS. I'm kind of somewhere in the middle, but
you're a centrist.
I'm a centrist in a polarized world about my IBS. But probably leaning
like
more.
Antifa on the street saying,
he doesn't have it. Leave him alone.
The EDL are there. He does.
Yeah. He clearly does. Look at the toilet. Release the toilet. The files. No, so I'm probably leaning more towards the EDL that I do have IBS. But so that can mean some full tummy stuff. And I was kind of sloshing about the other day, and I was like, I looked up because I knew people should drink about 4. Go on.
Sloshing about.
Day. You know when you walk and you can hear the water in your belly go whoop, 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 whoop. I mean that's probably your first sign and the only sign. It's probably the first and only sign that. No. I was walking around in my flat and I could. When you've drank a lot of water.
Yeah. So you're sort of implying that you're kind of rolling around your flat like an old Coke bottle rolls around the back seat of a car.
Like me and Adam just play these weird kind of flat games. Just blood water. No, I was doing normal things whilst the belly was sloshing about. That's probably your first. That's probably your first and only sign that you need to say that you drink too much water. But then I was like, I knew that. I think the recommendation is like 4 or 6. So then I counted them up how many liters I drank of water that day, and it was 12 liters of water. And then I looked.
Crazy.
It's a crazy amount of water. I then looked up like how much is too much water, and they were like, well, and then there was like different questions. So people were like, is 6 liters too much water? Is 8 liters too much water? It didn't even get up to my level of water. There wasn't record on the internet for someone drinking 12 liters of water because it's obviously too much water. So I've been actively trying to cut down. I think because I've got this big bottle, it's this big 2-liter bottle, and I'll just drink.
Do you want to get a smaller bottle?
I think it would help. Yeah. I'd probably half the amount of water I drank if I got a litre bottle. I think I drink it for when it's just like something to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just there, and I'm like, if I'm a bit bored, I'll take a sip of water. I'm like, why not? Why not? Bit of entertainment for a couple of seconds. And then because
my nan doesn't drink water. You know that.
What does she drink? Yeah, I think so, but
orange juice, coffee, wine.
That's fair.
I think that's pretty much kind of anything but a glass. She thinks she like gets so bored during a sip of a glass of water that it's like unbearable.
That's such a Gould thing.
And no one believes me, but she does. And she's 96 years old. I mean, she looks dehydrated, but she'll probably live longer than you. So.
I guess so. Yeah, no, she will live longer than me, 100%.
96. I mean, it's whatever she does.
I'm not making it to 96.
Whatever she does, it's right because you're 96. You break through whatever technique you used.
Then you have to start like studying her as a medical marvel, and then thinking, well, maybe this kind of odd concoction between squash, wine, and Ribena is the key to health.
Yeah, but if you pass 95, I reckon it's sort of like winning the Hunger Games, where like however you decided to do it, is the correct way of doing it. You either tackle someone head on with a spear, or you hide in the trees disguised as a leaf. But both can win you the games. And I guess she's really. I guess in my world, I'd be hiding in the tree pretending to be a leaf by drinking too much water, whereas your nan is really attacking the fellow. Squash! What's for panting? She's still in the centre circle. She's just fucking with a spear.
Come on, let's have it. I'm not going to pay myself as a leaf. I'm not a fucking loser. Yeah, give her. But yeah, no. So I've successfully managed to cut down on that, and no health benefits thus far. But I'll keep you all updated. I definitely feel less sloshy, which is a good thing to.
Yeah, that's it. I think it's this. Yeah, it's this sloshy.
I mean, I do also go to the toilet more than your average, as in go for a week. But who cares, you know? I've got a toilet. Might as well use it.
Well, you're just looking for, because it's two activities, because it's not only drinking out of a bottle of water, but it's also going to the loo. So that's like that's
then
two.
I don't know how I get anything else done in the day, quite frankly. But there's
yeah.
Go on.
No.
There's an entertainment. There's an entertainment in drinking it, which is interesting that your nan finds it boring. I don't know why me and your nan have boredom is so important for our drinking habits. But yeah, there is it's just like, it's a momentary low-level pleasure that you can have consistently throughout the day. So why not grasp it with both hands and take a glug?
Yeah, I'll be interested to hear from the people. What are your thoughts on, is drinking water boring or fun?
It's interesting. I think on the base it is boring. But then I'm not talking to... I don't think you should compare it to squash, because like squash is obviously the fun uncle and water is
Who's comparing it to squash?
You. I know, because you like... Your nan said that she doesn't want to drink water because it's boring. Squash is fun. I obviously agree with that.
Fine,
but it's more like, what I'm saying about is the absence of drinking water is more boring than drinking water.
So doing nothing is worse than drinking water?
Precisely.
Yeah, okay, I see that. That's a good argument. I guess like when you brought up squash, I thought you were sort of implying that like squash is sort of like water when he's on good form.
Well,
that's
completely correct. It's entirely true.
He was in such a good...
God, water is the life of the party right now. He's doing everything right. What's someone put in him? You can't believe he's all yellow. Yeah, no, that's my water habits. But I'll keep it all.
Can we discuss your wallpaper?
Yes. Not too happy about it.
So this is the first time I've never even seen in your room properly. I maybe peeked in once.
Yeah.
But this is the first time we've had a video call, and immediately I was hit with your wallpaper, and it's. I don't know why it made me laugh. I'm trying to unpack why it just.
I know why it makes you laugh, because it's fucking awful and I hate it. It looks like I'm still living in my parents' house and I've just been allowed to choose my own wallpaper for the first time, and I'm roughly 14 years old. It's horrible. Not happy with it at all.
It's sort of mountains and sunrises is sort of
but not artistic.
Thematic.
Yeah, just like. To be honest, that's doing it a bit too much service. I think it's more like triangles and circles. I guess it is mountains, isn't it, really? It's
kind of in the school of like... Did you not see the mountains and sunrise until I just said that then?
No, I did, yeah. I'm not a fucking heathen. It kind of looks like Art Attack style. I imagine the guy from Art Attack would have drawn, like, to show you how to draw basic mountains and...
Well, I think it's part of the portfolio of the guy who designs bus seats. This is,
yes.
This is sort of his...
Oh, fuck, it is. Oh, no.
Sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
I know, it's slowly ruining things. Well, I'll tell you why it's new. It's in the new flat, obviously, but my desk... I've done a big rearrange in my room because I wasn't feeling the feng shui that much. And everything's better. Like, the bed is in a better position. The desk is now here where I get more sunlight. It's better for sleeping. It's better for working. The one really negative consequence is that I now face that wall with that wallpaper, because previously I had a blank wall. So it's not good in a professional environment, because every time I go on like a call, they're kind of greeted with this, "Hey, how you doing, gang? What's going on next? This is crazy." And then it's not good in... It brings
the level of fun that you're not really ready to bring to the conversation. It's implying that you're a lot more keen than you are.
Exactly. So if I'm meeting people for the first time, it's like, oh, this guy must be high energy, enthusiastic, happy about the world. And then that would be fine if I was mediocre, but then when the majority of the time I'm not, it doesn't... It's like, why is this guy chosen this wallpaper? It's kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
And also, if you go like this and like put it down a bit, it does look like I'm stuck in like a solitary confinement cell, or like a torture cell. Do you know what I mean? Because it looks like that goes.
But what torture cells? Yeah, wait, and so the wallpaper's the torture.
Yeah, like if you go like that, and it looks like all the wallpaper, and I'm just trapped in this room, like, and it's all around.
Is that? Is that a solid? I don't know those kind of cells. Is it like? I guess it's like someone having a psychotic break. Maybe he's put there, or that's what.
So like a padded.
Van Gogh saw his blank wallpapers.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
like, I'm thinking it's like a padded cell. It's a mix between a mental asylum and like American torture methods. It's Guantanamo Bay for the criminally insane, but it's partly there. Do you know what I mean? It looks, because it's all one
I don't
shade.
think it's that bad.
I know it's not that bad.
It's a punishment for the Taliban. Who are just in there going, ah!
Enhanced interrogation.
It's not as tasteful as it thinks it is. Ah!
I suppose it's a mountain, but also it's nothing. They're over there.
I'll tell you anything.
By the way, in that character, when I was given the information, the only thing I could come up with is they're over there. That was the kind of scene. That was the big secret I've been holding on to. They're over there. Yeah, it's been poor. I don't like it.
Down.
Unfortunately, it's the one negative about the room that's happened, and this is probably the only podcast we're going to do for a very long time like this, where you'll see my wall. So, unfortunately, it's poor timing. I could have just left it for one more, but now it's out there for the world to see. Which I'm only just realizing now.
Podcast.
It's a global podcast. But yes, anything from Edinburgh? Well, how's Edinburgh? How's it going? What's the Fringe saying?
Anything from Edinburgh.
What say the Edinburgh?
Good fun time for Edinburgh.
I'm drinking too much water.
Yeah, no, Edinburgh's been fun. My circadian rhythms are all over the place. It's just every night you're sort of just drinking till 5 a.m. in like an industry bar where everyone goes when everything shuts at like 2, 3. Everyone goes to this one bar, which has industry people in, but where you're kind of getting the most fucked you'll get throughout the run in front of like people who could like make or break your career.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it's a bit of a tightrope walk of trying to like have a good time, but also not humiliate yourself.
Yeah.
Like last night, I was quite pissed, but there was also Neil Patrick Harris was there.
And he could make or break your career.
Yeah.
I always imagine him to be the one.
Yeah. Yeah. He was talking to a couple of magicians, and there was a magician I knew who was talking to him, and it already made me laugh, someone I know talking to Neil Patrick Harris. And I guess where I'm kind of bad is that if I see someone really famous, it's more like whatever happens with you, it's funny because you're in it. Like, they just make any story funny.
It's true.
If I trip over and fall headfirst into Neil Patrick Harris's crotch, that's funny because it's Neil Patrick Harris.
Absolutely.
It wouldn't be just kind of any story with him is funny because it's Neil Patrick Harris.
I think it's the length. The length of his name does a lot of work there. I think Neil Patrick Harris. He's a funny guy. It's a funny guy anyway to bump into, but Neil Patrick Harris, there's something about it. Like, it's almost quite formal.
And so we did have there are some tensions in Edinburgh because there's obviously lots of different groups, there's lots of different cliques, there's lots of different, I don't know, philosophies on what's good and what's bad. You know, there's the magicians, there's the straight stand-ups, there's the clowns. And there was a bit of a clash, actually, between the clowns and the straight stand-ups. It was sort of like in Lord of the, you know, when the orcs and the Uruk-hai fought. You know, remember that in like the third one? That's except a lot less like proficient in battle, I can imagine. There's a lot of dyspraxia and ADHD being flown about. And like still remnants of clown makeup on people's faces. Well, so I guess there's like different parts of the city which are kind of like different people's territory. And we were in Barrel Bar, which in general is kind of, it's a bit more straight stand-ups, a bit more like hairy kind of Celtic stand-up storytellers, people like that are in that Barrel Bar normally. And the clowns normally remain in Clown Town, as I call it,
right.
Where there's like a couple of yurts. There used to be a big bus that they all hang out, and you'd walk through it, but it was clown territory. So you'd respect the space as being like, you guys can clown around because you very much felt like you were entering their world.
It's like in Twilight when there's a strong division between the werewolves and the vampires, and they meticulously stick to that treaty. Otherwise, tensions could break over. So,
but it's fine. you can visit each other's territory, but it's just respecting the kind of the rules. And then we were in there in Barrel Bar. It was like 3 a.m, sinking beers, being loud, being ugly as well. We're not ugly, but like we look different to the clowns. The clowns are kind of like international kind of. You don't know where the money comes from, but it comes from somewhere. They kind of look ethereal, and we look like troglodytes. We look like there's too many pints of Guinness have been drunk.
Yeah, okay. I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting international like wealth as the description of the clowns at Edinburgh.
Well, that's what's under. Because if you think about clowning, it is like it's actually I think an ecstatic display of wealth. It's actually, do you know what it is? It's like shaking keys in front of poor people, because it's like, is it not the most like?
Yeah, it is.
Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly.
In many ways, it's like it's the last thing you could want to do. It means you got everything else sorted if you're fucking honking around, right?
It's true. Yeah, that makes sense.
So we're in this bar. And I do like a lot of clown shows. I've been unfair to them, but we were very loud. Everyone was laughing. It was jovial. Imagine it like a dwarven tavern in Lord of the Rings. You don't
have to keep comparing everything to the Lord of the Rings. I mean, like you could say there was a loud bar, and I think everyone listening has a general conception of what that is without needing to bring in Tolkien.
And then one of the clowns comes into the middle of the room and he goes, shh. And he uses his clown magic.
I was going to say, surely that's not allowed.
He started going shh, and like a lot of clowning is kind of mass audience kind of like participation, and he went shh, and then he just managed to hush the entire room. Everyone stops. I think he's going to announce some good news. He's going to make a speech about how much he's enjoying Edinburgh, and then he said, "Can we just keep it down a little bit? I think we don't need to speak at such a high pitch. Let's all rest our voices, right?" And then
Whoa.
We have a clown on our side who comes from like a bit of a rougher background, who the stuff he does is clowning, but he doesn't feel connected to the clown community. And he actually, he's like a half and half. He started booing, and then we all started booing. And there was a big group of us. So these clowns who tried to shoot, I don't know how they thought it'd go, but then we were just like,
okay.
And then, so there was like a tension there. And then I went up to speak to one of them, 15 minutes later. He was wearing a lederhosen.
Right.
And I was trying to be just as decent as possible. I just said, "Hi, what's your name? My name's Horatio." And then he, from behind my ear, pulled out an LED orange light. Like a little, he clearly had a small little portable light and went, pulled it out. Right. Already annoyed me.
Yeah.
Right?
What did he do with it?
Enchanted gnomes. It was just doing that as like a kind of like, you didn't say anything. He was just looking at me like, he's like, if like, aren't I ethereal?
Oh,
I then ask him what his name is. He leans over and in my ear he goes, yeah. And then as I'm talking to him, one of his other someone else clearly from his show, then puts a flyer in my top pocket.
What are these people doing? This is obscene.
Yeah. And
Can't get away with that.
The guy who's half clown, half straight stand-up, outside as a show of strength, we were jokingly saying "kill the clown" and started beating him up. And then when they came out, it looked quite aggressive because we had about 6 of us just like pretending to kick the clown's head in. And he was going honk 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 honk.
It's like the lamest gang violence possible in the whole world. Clowns versus straight stand-ups doing pretend fighting and like close-up magic to each other as a form of intimidation. Well, yeah, I didn't realize the clowns would use their gifts so forthrightly. Like, they're clearly very ready to go. Yeah. I wasn't expecting like just magic and stuff to come out of it. But how do you feel about the clowns now? Is there any treaties or truce to come in the future?
I think I ran into a couple of them. I think the kind of the tensions have worn down a little bit. I just think that you need to kind of respect each other's areas.
Were they in your area?
I guess this is their one time of a year where they're allowed to really clown around. and not be booed and hissed at by like oafs. But then we were in the one bar where there isn't all that fucking shit.
Right, but do clowns mostly they don't really speak, do they? So I think all of this, I think the actual core tension and argument that presented itself initially of you guys being loud illustrates the difference between you and the clowns.
Yeah,
they're not fundamentally mimes. Yeah, I know, but the clowns they
have a different part of town, the mimes.
Well, their clowns are like bloop, ooh,
sort of. I guess clowning, it's more just kind of like a style of solo performance that can mean a whole load of things, but they nearly all.
Yeah, so on the Patreon, for those of you that aren't subscribed, my gripe for last week was the French people, and that was in relation to the Olympics, because I don't. Yeah. There's been reports that they're not really getting into the Olympic spirit enough. That from my spies on the ground.
Are there reports from you?
No. Okay. They're reports to me. It's not certainly not first hand. It's not even second hand. Third or fourth, perhaps. They're not weren't getting into it enough. There was problems with the opening ceremony. Blah blah blah. If you want to hear it, go on the Patreon. There's a list of that. So I would be remiss if I didn't just briefly touch on the closing ceremony, because it really brought me back round. I suggested that I hosted an Olympic ceremony, the closing ceremony kind of party, to get some loved ones around to enjoy the finale.
It must be quite an emotional moment for you. It was every hour of the Olympics.
Yeah, it was embarrassing how much I cried. Quite embarrassing. We went to the pub, and I managed to get us like a sofa, and we had a front row seats. I mean, the demand wasn't high. It was pretty simple to get seats for the Olympic closing ceremony. Yeah, but no, I blubbered when they did when they do like the highlights, like a replay, and then embarrassingly, even like with the speeches, when just the heads of the Olympic Athletic Committee speaking, I found that moving. I was pretty drunk, but I think I would have cried even if I was sober. The Olympics is a big thing for me, clearly. I kind of forget every 4 years, and then I remember how significant a part of my life it is. But the closing ceremony.
No wonder you love drinking water so much.
Yeah, exactly. The closing ceremony, open ceremony didn't do too well, but the closing ceremony I thought was 10 out of 10. It's funny because it's a bit embarrassing that the French, like Phoenix, is their big band. I didn't even realise they were French, but I used to love them back in the day, so that was fun.
Not good-looking fellas.
Hey, but they can slam the strings, and that's all we really care about. And bop those bongos. They were good, and then there was. I don't actually know the name of them, but there was like a dance track from the soundtrack of Drive. There was a very good bit with a very beautiful lady,
like Krasinski.
That's the one. That was fun. But who is now becoming almost my all-time favorite man in the world? To be honest, the Americans, as they do, they stole the show. The rumors were true that Tom Cruise was going to abseil down from the top of the Stade de France, and my God, did he do it! It was. Some people, I thought it was perfect. I thought it was tasteful. I thought it was relevant to it's going to LA next. And then, I had the time of my life, and then went on to see what the internet was saying, and people were trashing it. And I was like, you don't understand the purpose of it. One, they were pissed off that they weren't in France. I was like, but that's the tradition. You do a performance from where the next place is. But two, they were saying how trashy it was that Tom Cruise abseiled down the Stade de France, then grabbed a flag and then rode out on a motorcycle. And then the montage was perhaps one of the finest montages I've seen, because they've basically got to communicate that Tom Cruise is getting from France to LA. They didn't really bother to make it look impressive. It was basically like, imagine if we were to when we were making like films when we were 16, 15, if we wanted to communicate someone running just like in the hills and just like dodging trees and stuff, there was nothing. He wasn't doing anything impressive, but he was just running and just like dodging and shit.
It was more showing movement through space. It was just a montage of he's here, now he's here,
now he's there, and it goes on for a couple of minutes, and it's the finest acting Cruise has ever done. And then he just like jumps into a plane and skydives out. It's perfect. It's exactly what it should have been.
That's the bit I saw. I just thought anyone who's slagging off Cruise has a deep misunderstanding of the nature of what is good and what is bad.
Couldn't agree more. Good. That is good. That is what you call... I went, good. This is good. Yeah. And then people going, bad. They don't get it. But no, so the closing ceremony was excellent. And then, like, you know, all the music acts were great. But Cruise stole the show, as he always does. He's a show stealer.
He is.
And then I've actually I watched the first Mission Impossible the other day just because I've got Cruise fever. But I need to save... I know. I need to save that till Christmas. I need to save it till Christmas. I can't spunk it all now in August. I've just got a few more months to wait. But yeah, the closing ceremony.
So because you saw Tom Cruise, you're like, I'm going to start watching Mission Impossible again.
I saw Tom Cruise and I was like, I need some more Cruise in me. I mean, I love him. He's the best.
You need something to do while you're not drinking water. With withdrawals of trying to only drink 6 litres of water a day, you've got to fill that time that you'd be bored with, you know, a really pacey action film.
I sound like
nothing else.
I sound like such a simpleton. Just drinking water to entertain myself intermittently, trying not to watch Mission Impossible before Christmas. It's
sort of implying that you'll watch all the Mission Impossibles at Christmas. That's the best time of your year, and up until then, you need to find things to fill the time.
Just don't watch it yet.
And
the wallpaper.
Drinking lots of water.
The wallpaper doesn't help with any of this either. But you got scammed again.
Yeah. I didn't. I mean, I've been a long time. I've been interested in kind of bots and scammers for a while now because they're getting. There's more and more of them on the internet. And this one wasn't really a scammer. It was basically, you must get these a lot, of like people saying they're going to market your account better, they're going to help your algorithm, they're going to do stuff that can, you know. And I had one the other day, which was like a guy who had like 250,000 followers. All of his pictures were him in front of Lamborghinis. Yeah, it was like the most obnoxious. It's sort of like an Andrew Tate-esque profile, and he direct messaged me saying, "Can I edit clips for you?" And
haven't you got Lamborghinis?
I'm always aggressive. I'm like, and he's got this, and he was sending me voice notes, and he really didn't like. So he was a problem. This guy wasn't a scammer, like a bot. He was an actual person, and I just said, "No, your profile makes you look incredibly obnoxious, and I don't know how you're trying to get work with a profile like that." And then he was like immediately defensive. Like, what are you talking about? No, I this is how I make my money. I've got a whole tactical digital marketing plan for you. And it's like, how much money do you think you're going to make out of me? If you're fronting and putting loads of pictures of you with driving loads of cars, are you making that money out of people like me?
Yeah,
where this is coming from?
He must be doing everyone's clips. Everyone, literally everyone's. If that's how his strategy works.
Really strange.
You don't need to engage like you do. Let's be honest. You could, most people, you see that, i.e. me, see these in the DMs and just leave it. But I think that it lights a fire within you that...
It really pisses me. No, I definitely don't need to engage, but I guess it's part of... It's going to get worse and worse, and it is really going to have a damage on social media, all of this fucking shit. And so I think Sunder's clapping back at these cunts. And so I had one with where this profile was something like Lucy Jones, right? And it's just a normal picture of a normal profile of a girl with clearly her whole life, like a very normal Instagram profile. And then she was messaging me saying, "I really like your stuff. Let me do clips. Let me help you with the marketing." All of her pictures had 0 likes.
Right.
So I said, "Why do none of your pictures have 0 likes?" Yeah. And then I basically got him to admit that he wasn't her. There was another person behind it. And then he's kept messaging me, trying to get me to work with him. I'm like, if you're pretending to be someone, do you think I'm going to work with you? And he's like, I'm not a scammer. I work for a company. This is just the way we do things.
The way, what do you mean the way you do things? You can't impersonate people and then expect it. Why do people want to do clips all the time as well?
Yeah, and admittedly, like most people just wouldn't respond to these people. But I am kind of just fascinated with what they think how they think it comes across. And also, like, even just making fake profiles, it's like how bad some of them are.
Well, what does he look like? That he must look like someone you really can't trust a clip with, that he's had to change his entire identity. Because to me, someone can make a clip looking like anything.
And then he's trying desperately to convince me that it's not a scam, and that we should definitely work together and stuff. And then 3 days later, he sends me the same message that he sent me before.
Yeah, no idea. Just bulking them out, just mass sending. Well, maybe we should get some of these people to actually do some. You never know; they could be geniuses. That guy got loads of Lamborghinis. So, how many Lamborghinis have we got?
I don't know. It's the rise in bot. I do have a lot of anxiety about bots. Weirdly, I really it gives me a lot of paranoia.
So that's coming through quite clearly. Why and in what manner do you have bot paranoia?
I guess it's like the uncanny valley sort of feeling, and it's like the fact that they're going to mutate, and it is like we're going to live in an iRobot-esque world, but it's not going to be humanoid robots.
Do you think behind every bot? Do you think behind every bot account there's like it looks exactly like the iRobots with that kind of white body?
I think if I'm being real, it's like that's like a science fiction has approached it with the wrong lens, because that's physical. Not. It's actually much more banal than that. It's going to be sex bots who are going to get more and more real, and then it's just our internet profiles are going to become completely indistinguishable from each other. And so I guess I'm doing my bit, and these guys aren't even bots, but they're just pretending. They're just trying to catfish me into getting clip work.
They might as well be bots at that point. Well, at the moment, they're not exactly uprising. They're just asking to do our podcast. So the threat level isn't on severe at this point.
And I don't know if there's a chance that, because all of them are the same thing, saying that like our engagement rate is like basically, it seems like they've done some analysis on our profiles of saying that like our engagement rate could be much higher. I don't know if maybe there's something specific about our profiles, my profiles.
No, everyone gets it. No, that's the trap you're falling into that the bots are creating. They're making you feel special. They'll be like, no, I could take you for miles ahead of where you were. But they're pervasive, but it's part of the fun. So before we came on, a big story leaked. It's finally been confirmed that ham may increase your risk of diabetes. Yeah. So this is obviously quite personal for, I think, us and all of the listeners. I had it up somewhere. I'll get the exact article. Ham diabetes. Mostly because, I've had a lot of opinions on what people should have for lunch over the podcast, which has changed. I've changed my lunch habits quite significantly. However, I do always find myself back to ham and cheese. Now, I've been having a lot of like mushroom and avocado. I'll be having chicken sandwiches for a lot. But in the last week, I can't stop gobbling the ham and crunching on the cheese. I'm back to the ham and cheese. And like this article looks kind of, there's a picture on the article that looks exactly like my lunch. It says 2 slices of ham a day can raise type 2 diabetes risk by 15%. Now, that's just 2 slices of ham. That's kind of embarrassingly exactly what I'd put in my sandwich. All of this it feels like it's aimed at me. It feels like it's heard my podcast saying, you should only have ham and cheese. And now it's saying, well, you
maybe
might die.
Because of the cultural influence you have, that's why they're responding. It's because there's been a huge uptick in it.
That's why the study was commissioned, because of there's this rogue maverick, this Andrew Tate-like figure, but instead of getting people to, I don't know, invest in themselves, he just says you should only eat ham and cheese for lunch. But
is ham and cheese summer a problem?
Ham and cheese summer is a problem. Before we started ham and cheese summer, we didn't realise the health consequences of it. And we'll hold our hands up and say,
do you want to do a notes app apology?
Yeah. In light of the recent findings uncovered by The Guardian, I'd like to formally apologise for starting ham and cheese summer. It wasn't clear to me at the time the significant risk of diabetes that ham and cheese summer could provide, and it's something that we need to remedy. I'm still on ham and cheese. The problem is, as is the problem with all of things in this world, if you want something nice, you've got to bloody pay for it, don't you? So you can still... The thing is, one way or another.
You want a lovely 12 litres of water.
Yeah.
You're going to be sloshing about the place.
You're going to be sloshing about, and that's okay if you're ready to use the John all day. But the problem is, because if you'd have said to me before this study came out, and you were like, what kind of ham? We never even discussed the kind of ham that should be going in a ham and cheese sandwich. And if you were coming up to me and saying like all this carvery ham hock nonsense, I'd have told you to pull your pants up and get out the room. Whereas... the pants pulling the pants up implies a slovenly person would suggest to have ham hock for lunch.
It actually implies that you are about to have like a sort of homosexual fling with this gentleman.
And now I'm like, you want that kind of ham?
Yeah, you know, you're about to get into bed with him.
Pull your pants up and get out. What, ham hock? Which is interesting that we're having...
What did I say? Shut up.
You know what you said. It's interesting that that's their like sex foreplay conversation, is discussing types of ham. But, you know, crazier things have happened. It was the University of Cambridge, just by the way, about this. So, you know, it's from the top. Top. Yeah, if you just said, what about ham hock or, you know, that like posh ham, I'd have told you what I said before, because it's got to be shit ham, like wafer thin shit ham. But that's where the issue will be coming due to how processed they are, I'm sure. How do you feel about this?
Yes. Well, it feels like our podcast more and more we're heading towards biohacking, sort of like, I mean, you rising with the sun, you know, drinking water all the time. It feels like...
Yeah.
There's so much stuff out there for... Like, I'm getting a lot of sponsored ads for Clearly... I mean, I'm just getting scammed all the time.
Yeah,
like
you're an easy target.
Clearly, I'm on Gullible on my data points saying Gullible, low IQ,
We'll give life savings to stranger if they call saying they're a bank.
But there's like within this kind of biohack sphere, there's now like a rise in like sort of scam health contraptions. Like, it's obviously like started with sort of like back posture stuff, where it'll be like they'll show you like a fucking back brace, and it'll show a medical image of someone having basic scoliosis, then using it, and then a perfectly straight spine, and you're like, well, that's brilliant.
That works like unbelievably well. That's
or even
a miracle
like a back cracker where they've added sounds of a back cracking incredibly
like, wow,
loudly.
That does,
and it's like that was just added in. That is so ridiculous. I've even seen like, you know, I started mouth taping. I now use an eye mask.
Of course you started
mouth
taping. I was waiting for that moment. I've seen it everywhere, and I've only been thinking, give it a week, give it a month before he's doing it.
I have a joke about it, but I'm kidnapping myself to sleep every night, basically.
Yeah.
I'm tying myself up. I'm hog-tying. You know, even though eye mask, I stand by it. By the way, eye mask has been an absolute game changer, by the way, if we're talking health.
Well, that goes against my wake up with the sun theory.
Yeah, I guess so. So it probably doesn't apply to you. But I do genuinely feel I have much deeper sleep with an eye mask. But not like an old datey like airplane eye mask. They've got new ones, which are these big like velvety
skiing
that you wrap around your head.
Skiing goggles with black spray paint on them, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Industrial grade. Yeah. A man's eye mask. Yeah. None of this like...
A man's eye mask.
Shh, or the bitch is sleeping. It's like, fuck off, I'm asleep.
I'm dead. I'm dead. I feel like I'm dead every night. I'm buried alive. That's what I want from my eye mask.
Yeah.
But there's one of the new contraptions, which is kind of interesting, is they'll have like a magnetic strip on your nose, and then you put two little magnets into your nose, and it like opens up your... It means it your nose apart. Have you seen?
Have we discussed this?
No, we haven't. You haven't.
No. Yeah. I have seen them. I have.
And
I've seen them.
Okay, those are going to be bullshit, but it's just. Yeah. I love the way they advertise them, where it'll be like someone will be using that, and then it'll be like, "This is like the first time I breathed in years."
Apologies to bring the Olympics back into the conversation, because just when you thought it's all over, no, I've been seeing a lot of athletes using that tape when they're running. So a lot of long distance runners use, well, that whatever it is that goes across the nose to open up your airways, they're using it. And I've seen athletes talk about it, and it opens up your airways so you can get more oxygen in and run better.
Well, maybe I should use that with my mouth tape, just so I'm breathing loads through my nose, not through my mouth. You know, this could be like the third thing.
But I would agree, but then you've got to have some pride. At the end of the day, come on, like you've got to, you don't want to wake up and look at your
before bed.
Yeah, the first thing you see when you wake up in the morning when you look in the mirror, you've got to have some self pride. Yeah. You can't be doing that, no matter how much oxygen it gets into your body. I think leave it. But that wasn't your ham take.
The ham thing, yeah. And I guess there's so much shit going around. It's so confusing. I do just feel like the main thing is process does feel like it's bad. That's kind of where I'm heading towards.
Which is
process bad. That's kind of as much
agreed.
As I've got on the health front. The rest I'm not sure about.
Yeah, for me, process bad, balanced diet. I think that's what you got to do. I think everything else is going to go. Because like there's loads of anti-vegetarianism and veganism stuff now, like that it's just not really a sustainable way to do a diet. And like, 2 years ago it was the healthiest thing in the world. Everything, be skeptical of anything being the healthiest thing in the world, because give it 2 years. Exactly. The only thing I trust is that food pyramid that we learn at school. That's all I trust.
Well, I think that's wrong. I think the food pyramid's wrong.
It's not just a balanced diet.
Yeah, but I wonder if... I think that there's potentially some... like big carbohydrates might be pushing into that. There might be like...
There is.
Do you know what I mean?
There is, yeah.
I genuinely think that. Like the breakfast lobby telling us we all need breakfast.
Big carbs, big fat.
But then the ham and cheese sandwich, if you have white processed bread, processed cheese and ham, that's like triple processed. It is kind of like a lethal combination.
Now the question I have is a block of cheese processed? I know sliced cheese is processed, but is a block of cheese processed? Is a block of cheese processed? Processed cheese is often sold in blocks. Yeah, is Cathedral City processed?
Yeah.
Let's find out. Processed cheese. Cathedral City is made using pasteurized milk, salt, and enzymes, and is not processed.
Oh.
I don't think, because I was going to say, I don't think those blocks are processed. If you're getting the shit ones, probably. But if Cathedral Citying, or I can't think of any other cheese. Other cheeses are available.
We've come to the end of the episode, and if you're wondering if this time apart was meant we'd talk about different things, you're wrong. The episode once again ending with a prolonged conversation about ham and cheese.
weeks of separate experiences, weeks of not seeing each other, a wealth of topics to be discussed both in our personal lives and in global news. And here we are, the same old dog shit. It's the same fucking conversation and debate where we both agree with each other, so it's not even that interesting to listen to. But we'll keep talking about ham and cheese until the day that we die.
Thanks very much for listening, guys. I think I'll be back next week. Will I be back?
Yeah, we need to work that out. But we're doing it fair.
I'm pretty sure I'll be back. We'll be back to regular programming from next week. Yes. Yeah, I'll be back next week, and we'll be back. Sorry for...
We probably will.
Ride it's been.
I'm also very busy next week, so there's a chance we won't, but I think we will.
Fine.
We'll work it out. Right. But probably yes.
Certainly the week after.
See
you guys. Thank you very much.
See you later.
Love you. Bye.